welcome on another episode of Discover Pomerania. Today we are in Szczecin with Toby
right.
Lloyd, who is living in Szczecin. How long?
For about 15 years. I came over in 2005, the year after Poland joined the European Union.
Wow. Tell us, what are you doing in Szczecin?
I've done many things. I've started teaching English as a TEFL teacher, and I work at an international school where I teach English. I have taught history, and I teach some sort of a thing called Theory of Knowledge, which is philosophy, and there's an IB program. So basically I'm a teacher.
Okay. So you're living 15 years in Poland, in Szczecin, in this particular part of the country. Tell us, you had enough time really to discover it, isn't it?
It's a really seriously interesting thing. I think when you look at from economic reasons, from historical reasons and geographical reasons, a lot of Polish people say that Szczecin is on the coast, and if you talk to any Szczecinites, I guess is a word, they all say it's, the coast is 100 kilometers that way.
True.
And so it's not a coastal town. Most Polish people think it is. It's also an incredibly interesting thing from about 1946, 45. It's only really been Polish from that point, although there is some debate historically that it was a Polish city way back in times gone. It used to be the major port for Berlin. Obviously that changed from 1945. And as you look around, the actual area of Szczecin has got huge historical significance. It's been a gateway into Europe and out of Europe to the Scandinavian countries for almost 1,000 years. And it's also very interesting, I think, when you look at the generations of Polish people who've really forced to live here from 1945 onwards. And I think it's a big melting pot of Polish culture. It isn't like Poznan or Krakow, which is very distinctly Polish. This is kind of got a bit of an old German feel to it in the architecture, with a Polish mentality on top. So it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, it's funny because I grew up in Wrocław, which has exactly same vibe. So that's every time I'm coming to Szczecin, I feel like home. This is amazing. All right, Toby, tell us what is unique about this town.
As I said, it's a kind of strange place in that up until, I think historians will correct me better, I think up until really the late 70s, Poland didn't really know that Szczecin was still going to be part of Poland, or was part of Poland. It might even be a bit later than that. So I think a lot of people who came here, the first generation of Poles, were very reluctant to put down their roots because they honestly thought they might have to leave at quite short notice. No one really knows. It's only really been, I think, from about 2000, maybe late 1990s, where it's Polish people have really started to put the roots down in this thing, and they put their own feel on it. And yet, with the joining the European Union, a lot of Polish people come back. However, what's unique about this place, and I'm hoping you'll get photos of this, that's quite unique.
Teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers, which is unique everywhere.
Yeah.
It's an incredible, forest and unique kind of rather beautiful scenery. It is lovely. And yet dotted amongst this rather beautiful scenery, these incredible forests, which as a British person was quite amazing, because I don't have forests where I come from, I have small woods. This forest runs from here, more or less to the coast.
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea how far it runs that way, but it must be hundreds upon hundreds of square kilometres. And when you walk through it, you come across amazing bits of history from like 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century, bits which are just forgotten. And it's amazing, and really every time you come across something, when I go for a walk around here, I generally find things. The other day I found 3 old bridges, which were in the middle of the forest, which were just bridges. There's no roads to them, just bridges. And then when you do the research, you kind of find the history of those bridges. It's very strange, but very, very interesting. And I think that is part of a sort of what the local people are getting used to as well. And there is tremendous history. I mean, every time they drain something, they find some kind of history. They drain a lake, they find something in the bottom of the lake, which is historically interesting.
Wow. I know, guys, already Toby said this story to me earlier, that actually your you have kind of your family members were present here back in the day. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's a bizarre thing. I mean, there's two reasons really, but during the Second World War, my grandfather was actually shot down on a bombing raid over the city of Szczecin, and he survived, luckily. And he spent the rest of the war in Poznań, and then on his way back. And he had stories to tell, and sadly he's now passed away. But that wasn't the reason I came here, though.
Okay.
but it was an interesting thing, and I only found that out some time later, after many years later. And I do think it's quite interesting, especially the place where we're sitting from used to be an old anti-aircraft site, so it could possibly be from here.
Yeah, actually, tell us a little bit about this particular spot. You when I asked you for this interview, you said, "Okay, guys, let's meet here." Okay. Tell us a little bit about this spot.
Well, this is over there, which hopefully you'll get some shots of later. It's a fantastic, beautiful view. You can see the whole of Szczecin, and you can see how Szczecin is made up. Szczecin is a very interesting city. It's in the middle of a forest, basically, and you can clearly see it here. This used to be an old anti-aircraft site. Obviously, it's got a commanding view of the city. Not now, the trees have grown up. Over there, because of its beauty, one of the top Nazis, Hermann Göring, used this as a sort of escape, or Dachau, I guess, as the Russians would say, where you can still see some of the old buildings or the guard rooms over there. Here's actually chateau, whatever, mansion, whatever the German word is, has been destroyed a long time ago. And that's kind of this area. There also is a beautiful emerald lake about 500 metres down there, which is an old mine. I'm not 100% sure what they mined. I got a feeling it's copper, but I might have made that up. And of course, it got flooded over the years because it became disused, and now it's got a beautiful emerald sheen to it. It's called the Emerald Lake, and when it's sunny, it's just fantastic to watch. It's a really nice, beautiful place to walk around, and it's off the beaten track. You can walk in any direction, and you're in the forest. This is a really beautiful area.
Fantastic.
Really nice. And of course, as you can hear from behind us, it's a popular place for people to come and have picnics and barbecues and whatever, which is, why not?
Yeah. And what else what's else your favorite spot around Szczecin? Maybe at the seaside is something which you really like. You enjoy spending time.
It really is the incredible nature here. That is my really big thing. I'm getting a bit too old for clubbing and stuff like that, which I haven't done for many years. But the actual nature here, it's incredible. These incredible forests, these incredible walks that you can go for hours and not see anyone. And you can bike ride, you can horse ride, you can, there's incredible lakes around here, you can get in boats. Really, if you want to just go and relax, you can easily do it here. Get out into the countryside and enjoy, get some air in your lungs. This is the right place to do it. The city itself is growing, it's changing. It's changed a great deal in the 15 years I've been here. It's gone from what I would say when I first came here, it was, to be honest, a little bit grim.
There was post-communism
kind of vibe. And there used to be a major shipbuilding area here. That was shut down some time ago. There was quite high unemployment when I first came here. Now that's being edged back, and it is growing. The city hasn't had quite the economic input to, say, places like Wrocław and Poznań, but it has had some, and you can definitely see the change in it. And it's getting a much more modern city, much more interesting city. Some of the horrible old communist blocks are now disappearing. You can definitely see the money coming into the city because people are decorating, changing things. And I think there's a lot more interest by the actual city council about creating interesting places about the history. There's a fantastic place by the train centre where they've opened up an old air raid shelter and talk you through the history of that. They've opened up histories of Szczecin city itself. I believe there's plans to open a sort of more maritime museum as well, but that's still some way off.
All right. Tell me, how easy is it to get to Szczecin, let's say, by plane?
Well, there's an airport 40 kilometres that way, called Goleniów. Unfortunately, it's Ryanair. Maybe you shouldn't say that. And that flies. I think you got flights to London, to Stansted. I believe they operate to Glasgow. A few places I know they operate other places. It's a growing airport. there's more and more international flights being added, but it's a small airport.
And also there is option Berlin, isn't it?
Absolutely, and Berlin is 2 hours away.
Yeah, yeah.
And the taxis run from here. It's very easy. The train link is excellent. Taxi link is excellent. So it's really not a problem. And of course, if you're even more adventurous, you can come in across the ferry, come down the coast into Szczecin and down here. It's a nice place.
Okay, cool. Fine. Is anything else, Toby, you would like to share with our viewers about this land, this town?
I think one of the things that I really find interesting, like seriously interesting, is this city which is kind of a bit of a byword for life at the moment, it's starting to open its borders a little bit. What I mean, you see more and more people from different cultures coming here, and you can see that the city is slightly changing in its culture. The more and more different groups are coming in. When I first came here, you only heard sort of Polish around.
Yeah.
But now you start hearing different languages, you start seeing different sort of options, even silly things like in the shops, you can see different products being available, from different cultures. Even
That's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Even silly things like that. You start seeing different cuisine on offer, better cuisine, different types of drinks, alcohol, whatever you want to call it. It's you can see a change, and there's a definite change, which is good, and I like that. I like that a lot, and I think it is a good sort of melting pot, especially as sort of younger Poles who left and now sort of come home.
Yeah,
they're bringing in their influences, which they've picked up, and that's a good thing.
Fantastic. Toby, thank you so much for
thank
this
you very
lovely
much.
chat.
It's nice to meet you.
And hopefully I will see you soon.
Thank you very much. Okay.
See you guys. Please don't forget, subscribe, stay with us and discover Pomerania.